Jamaica. Make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
There are signs in the corporate area, at least, that the government's REACH program has finally launched as people wait on the broader works program, the Spark, to really take effect across the country. Commuters and Jamaicans alike have been complaining pothole-riddled roads, and they're wondering when the Holness administration will send relief their way by fixing these craters that have popped up on the major thoroughfares right across the island. The Works Minister, Robert Morgan, joins me today to talk about the progress report where REACH and Spark are concerned on this Friday. The minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, he has responsibility for works. Don't know why prime ministers do these things. He is the works minister, and he joins me this evening. Before we get there, though, a scene setter as per usual. The fact is that recent rains, incessant rains over several weeks, have really done a number on the quality of road surfaces right across the island, which weren't great before that. Spark was announced long ago, a $40 billion works program slated to get underway this month in October. There was a lot of procurement that needed to be done to set Spark right for the taking effect of the program in October. But what burial caused to road surfaces across the island, and then the normal wear and tear, necessitated an announcement by the Holness administration for REACH, a shorter term $3 billion program to fix major thoroughfares, to patch even as Spark got underway. Going to get an update on those two projects from the Works Minister. Before that, though, our scene setter contextualizing the discussion that we're going to have this evening.
The government of Jamaica have been selling the vision of a Jamaica with smooth road networks to match the desired upward movements in development. Now, for Jamaicans whose vehicles have experienced the trauma of the hill and gully rides caused by potholes, tracks masquerading as road networks, there is a spark of hope aiming to make the wishes of good roads in reach for Jamaicans. But the government of Jamaica is splashing some serious cash on the Spark and REACH programs, two major billion-dollar projects announced in 2024 being promised to make some inroads in infrastructural development. The government of Jamaica, GOJ, has committed $40 billion to enhancing over 2,000 roads through the Spark program. Over 2 years, Spark will focus on upgrading main, secondary, and community roads. The government has promised that funds will be distributed equally among constituencies, with additional support for the most damaged roads project advanced with announced contractors: Sino Hydro Corporation Limited, China Harbor Engineering Company Limited, both from China, Municipal Enterprises Limited from Canada, Lagan Aviation and Infrastructure Limited in the UK, and Vinci Construction Grants Projects from France. The program has engaged community consultations led by members of parliament and councillors to prioritize roads in need of help. From the $3 billion REACH Road Rehabilitation Program on August 31, 2024. This nationwide initiative aims to address critical road infrastructure needs across Jamaica, particularly damage caused by recent weather events like Hurricane Beryl, as well as routine maintenance. The fund, the REACH Rehabilitation Program, will be executed in 2 phases. Phase 1 began in September and is slated to end in November 2024, with Phase 2 expecting to last from January to March 2025. Mass road works across the islands and the minister responsible with the dream of moving Jamaican roads from Rukutu to carpet is here on Lead Story to update the nation.
Thank you very much, Nika. Jonathan Atkins, the producer of that piece. So after this break, Minister Robert Morgan.
What's your story?
What's your sign? You're dreaming. Don't care what other people say. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive. We come alive. We come alive. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive.
Hi everyone, my name is Kurt Dunn.
Greetings from Kali's Kelly Yoga.
Hey, it's Robin Morrison, and I am your National Physical Activity Specialist. And it's time to make a move.
Jamaica, let's get moving again. Season 2 of the Ministry of Health and Wellness Jamaica Move series is here. Join us Wednesdays at 5 a.m. and Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on CVM TV. Let's get moving.
Make a move now.
Back with us here on Lead Story on this Friday. We're dealing with roadworks generally, and of course, if a cabinet or someone close to cabinet is here, we have to deal with some politics. Minister Robert Morgan, good evening. Welcome back to Lead Story.
Thank you very much for having me, George.
All right, the first thing, REACH. Give us an update on the Relief Emergency Assistance Community Health Program. Someone really went overboard to try to ram an acronym through and an abbreviation.
But you remember it.
Well, there you go, sir.
So the REACH program is a $3 billion program. And if you look in the supplementary estimates, you'll see that it's funded. So each constituency gets $10 million this year between September and November, and $10 million between January to March to do patching, which is MP-led. The National Works Agency gets about $600 million this year and about $600 million next year. So REACH is not just reaching into 2024, we're reaching into 2025. So we're not just going to start and stop. So that program is currently ongoing. The NWA portion of the program has started. We're doing the procurement for the members of parliament. So every single constituency in Jamaica gets a touch of the REACH rehabilitation program. We have started patching major thoroughfares in Kingston, Waterloo Road, Upper Waterloo Road. We have done sections of New Kingston. We've started, yesterday we did Waltham Park Road, which was really terrible.
Yes.
We've done Mandela. We're going to be moving into Portmore shortly. And we are also going to be doing Hanover soon and sections of Montego Bay. So we're rolling it out small, little by little. The challenge we had though is that you cannot patch road in rain because the aggregate is stored outside.
Yeah.
And you cannot mix aggregate with bitumen, which is the base petroleum-based material that we use to bind the aggregate. So a lot of the asphalt plants for the last 3 weeks were not turning on.
Yes.
So we wanted to start it 3 weeks ago, but we had 3 weeks of rain. We're still having rain in some places. I know a contractor, a good friend of mine, who lost an entire load of asphalt because of rain yesterday, because he went out to overlay asphalt, and the road was flooded, so he couldn't patch it, and the asphalt got cold, so he had to dump it. So these are restore contractors when they try to patch in rain, and that's not the most ideal. But REACH is ongoing. It has started. We're ramping it up. MPs are going to start their portion.
How soon before the first MP gets an allocation to do the work?
Well,
where you are now.
Juliet Cuthbert has already started patching.
Yes.
So she would have sent in her program very early. Probably as the Prime Minister was speaking, she was typing in her program. So she has started already, and there are several others to come on stream this weekend and next week. All across the island, it's going to happen.
Right. So you say the REACH work that is going on now, that's NWA funded?
Most of it is NWA.
And you say
directed.
at least one MP of the 63?
Juliet Cuthbert, but I know based on discussions with the National Works Agency that we have signed about 20 contracts, I think yesterday. So the contractors will now be mobilizing to start patching this weekend into next week.
So people should look out. So parts of the corporate area, I've seen several repairs done already. You say Hanover should maybe by next week?
That road between Hanover to Negril, Lucy to Negril, is a sore point for everyone, and that's one of the priorities that we have. So we're trying to focus a lot on the main roads. So the MPs are going to focus primarily on community roads, while the National Works Agency is trying to focus on the main roads.
Talk about Spark now, because the government told us that Spark would begin in October. It's now October.
Well, Spark actually began in May, just after the Prime Minister's budget presentation.
But Minister, the consultations of Spark is one thing, but people want to see boots on the ground doing work on the Spark. When is that starting?
That is going to start probably the end of October into November. I don't think persons appreciate, and I don't expect them to, how involved the Spark procurement process is. This is an international tender where we had to send it out internationally. People would have submitted, you listed out some of the persons, the companies. Not only that, but we have condensed what would have normally been a 2-year procurement process into 7 months. Prime Minister announced in March, it would have taken us about a month to mobilize, started the procurement in May, started the consultations over that period of time, finished the consultations, having to go out there to assess every single road. We had about 62 constituencies in consultation, 630 roads, plus main roads. So it has been a very involved process. So seeing the backhoe on the road and the grader on the road is a sort of culmination of a very long process. Where we are now, we have submitted the project to the public sector investment branch. That's in the Ministry of Finance. We have been in negotiations with a main contractor to negotiate price. They came in a little high, but we wanted to reduce them so we could do the same amount of roads that we had envisaged to do. So now where we are is that PIAB needs to come back to us within another week or so. Then we go to the Public Procurement Committee, then we go to Cabinet, and then we sign a contract. We have had discussions with the preferred bidder. They say immediately as they sign the contract, within a few days, they'll start doing work.
So you're saying that, look, for all that you've said, and I appreciate the process, and it's important for you to talk about the process, for Jamaicans, only when they see the heavy equipment on the road and the men and women working out there will they say that Spark has started. So you're saying by the end of October, early November.
Early November.
But no later than the first week in November.
Well, the Prime Minister, and I mean, if we have a rain event, then we have to recognize that would shift. But the Prime Minister is very adamant. And when I became Minister without portfolio, he said to me, get Spark done. And I have sat down with the National Works Agency, the NW has met with the Ministry of Labour, CDF, the National Water Commission, and various other partners to get Spark done. It will be the most significant investment in community roads in the history of our country. 40 billion directly on roads and other infrastructure such as drains and conduits for fiber optics, 5 billion on water. A lot of these communities.
That's a separate 5 billion or 5 from the 40?
No, it's a separate 5 billion. So the NWC will be allocated 5 billion over 2 years to replace the leaky pipes on some of these roads. Because it makes no sense, and people quarrel about it all the time, George. Oh, the NWA come and fix the road and NWC dig it up. I've seen cartoons of the NWA fixing the road and I say, NWC
the worst sight you can see in the corporate area is a piece of road, and there is, any motorist will tell you, when they see a van, a pickup marked NWC, and they see a backhoe behind it, they say, Lord Jesus, where are they going to dig up and leave dug up?
Well, the good thing about Spark is that it's an all-of-government integrated capital project, which means that it comes from the capital side of the budget, not the recurrent side of the budget. It comes from your tax dollars. It's not debt, it's not borrowed money. And because it's such an integrated project, and because a lot of it comes under the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, headed by the Prime Minister. We've been able to have collaborations with the various entities to make sure. So we are working hand in glove with
But aren't you under pressure, Minister? Because guess what? You just made the point yourself that this is the largest road works program in the country's history. The first one of this scale, and then the first one to be done with taxpayers' money, not borrowed funds, not grant funds, not concessionary funds of any kind. You're under pressure to deliver.
I see it as an opportunity. As a young person who is new to politics, I've only been an MP since 2020. For the Prime Minister to have such confidence in me, to give me oversight of one of the most important projects in government, that is most importantly going to change the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Less tires to be bought, less wear and tear on your vehicle, lower transportation costs for both businesses and citizens, better water supply in their communities. I feel proud. My constituency is going to benefit, the entire Jamaica is going to benefit.
Hear you on that. Minister in charge of Works, Robert Morgan, talking about Reach and then Spark. After the break, we'll touch some politics.
The time by Grace. Taste that moves you is
6:45.
Fan Central Pitside, brought to you by Edgechem, AIM Financial Corporation, Texaco, and Connex.
Welcome back to Lead Story here on CVM TV on this Friday. So you've heard the update on Reach, which the Minister in charge of Works, Robert Morgan, says is well on the way. He says the NWA is spending their allotment as we speak, doing roads in the corporate area, several parts of the corporate area. That troublesome corridor between Hanover and, well, in Hanover that has caused transport operators to be up in arms, taken to the streets to protest. He says work is going to start on that in days, and he says at least one of the MPs will get a 10 million allotment this year and another 10 million early next year. At least one of those MPs has already gotten that allocation and it's working, and he says that just some minor I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed, and every MP will get their first tranche of the 20 million to start work in their constituency. The MPs, he says, will work on community roads, and the NWA is dealing with the main roads, while the Spark is cranking into gear, and he has promised that at least by the first week in November you should see men and women and heavy equipment on the ground doing work where Spark is concerned, roadworks, infrastructure, and the NWC will be getting $5 billion separately to do work to complement the road and infrastructure improvements that will be done under Spark. All right. Minister, your Prime Minister, the Chairman of Cabinet, most senior politician in the country, has been taking a beating. His reputation has been the subject, as well, has been treated as political fodder by the opposition, who feel they have him on the run. They have sought to paint him as a man who the Jamaicans can't trust, because the JLP put this image out there of bro God as somebody of integrity, somebody who you can trust, somebody who you can take his word. The PNP are saying that based on what the Integrity Commission has revealed, that is not so. It's a facade, and the Prime Minister is not to be trusted. Do you have confidence in the man who directs Cabinet and directs the affairs of the administration?
The Prime Minister has my full confidence, and I know he has the full confidence of our members of Parliament and the Cabinet. Listen. When I was a very young member of this political business, Peter Bunting came on this station and used Prime Minister Holness's children for politics. That's where it started. Then Peter Phillips went on stage and used the Prime Minister's house for politics. Then they came and used the Prime Minister's company, offshore company, for politics. When they had offshore companies too, and now they come with illicit enrichment. The Integrity Commission did not make any finding adverse to the Prime Minister as it relates to illicit enrichment. The one question that went to the corruption prosecutor was whether the Prime Minister misled the Integrity Commission in relation to his filings. And the corruption prosecutor said, Prime Minister, you have no case to answer. What we see happening here is a politician in Mark Golding recognizes the significant transformation under Andrew Holness that Jamaica has experienced. He does not have a counter. So instead of arguing policies, he argues personal. Mark Golding knows that the Prime Minister cannot reveal who is being investigated because he doesn't know the law bars the Integrity Commission from revealing that. But Mark Golding can come on TV and say, when I become Prime Minister, I will reveal who is being investigated for illicit enrichment, knowing fully well as an attorney that that would be illegal, that is misleading the people, and that is politics. Well, and this is all politics.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. I'm happy you say it's all politics because the children apart, isn't it fair for an opposition to ask questions on behalf of the people about how a career politician like Andrew Holness, who wasn't a wealthy man before he went into politics, who spent his formative years in the politics. He was in the politics from he was 20 plus years old. Yeah, a young man, which he keeps on reminding us. And based on the sums that the Integrity Commission says have accrued in the accounts of companies under Mr. Holness's control, isn't it a fair question for the PNP to ask on behalf of Jamaicans where the Prime Minister's wealth has come from?
So, people can ask whatever question they want. But who is Andrew Holness? Andrew Holness grew up in Spanish Town. And he would rise as one of the young, bright persons in Jamaica. He was one of the first persons in Jamaica to have a taxi company called Sunrise Taxi Company. Did you know that?
I know Sunrise Taxi.
He was one of the first persons in Jamaica to have a same-day loan company, Omega Bridge Finance. Did you know that? He was one of the first young black persons to go into the real estate business in Jamaica. Did you know that? And most of this was done before he became a politician. Not only that, but he was very smart. He married well. He married someone who would become a chartered accountant and reach one of the top chartered accountants in Jamaica at one point in time, in charge of the accounts of Jamaica Excelsior Biscuit Company.
Jamaica Biscuit Company.
Jamaica Biscuit Company. These are not people who just all of a sudden came into wealth. I think the problem that a lot of them are having is that only PNP must make money. So, you know, if you question PNP politician, how you get so rich? How come you file your integrity report and when you look at the real estate section of your integrity report, you own no property in Jamaica, in Mark Golding? How is that possible?
Well, here's
why aren't we questioning persons who put their wealth behind trust funds so that they cannot be examined, but persons who bring back their business to Jamaica and open it up to the public are the ones being criticized?
Well, that's a political question for the JLP to ask itself, Mr. Morgan. You couldn't expect ordinary Jamaicans or
but Mark says, Mark says him right, the Integrity Commission law.
But here's the thing to me. Here's the thing for me. What the Integrity Commission investigation has revealed has caused some Jamaicans who believe in the Prime Minister to say, wait a minute, something isn't right. You are a man of politics. You are here because of politics. Do you not believe it is fair, the questions that are being asked, seeded by the PNP, but that's their role as an opposition? Don't you think that these questions people are asking are fair and just?
Let me tell you why a lot of it is not fair. I have investigated you for 3 years or more. I have brought down a forensic investigator, not a normal accountant. Somebody whose job is to find things that people are trying to hide. And after 3 years, tens of millions of taxpayer dollars, you have not been able to find me guilty of anything. You have not been able to bring forward anything to the prosecutor to say, assess whether he can be charged for this. What the PNP has done is they have taken Andrew Holness's personal information and they have preyed on the ignorance of people who do not understand how companies operate. They do not understand why, if I have businesses, I may want to have a separate account for each business. I may want to have accounts for my children. I may want to have accounts for household expenses. And they have taken that ignorance of the Jamaican people, not the fault of the Jamaican people. They have failed in their role as politicians to educate and teach. And they have taken on the Machiavellian approach of misleading the public. And that is where this is coming from. Which is why it's so important, George, before you come in, that the courts get an opportunity to examine whether I give you all my personal information. How have you managed it? How have you assessed it? And whether you were fair in your conclusions.
Another point of fear, all is fear in love and war, and I'm happy you trumped for Machiavelli, and he's not talking about the Tupac album of the same name. But the fact is this: all is fear in love and war, and in politics. So the opposition asking questions and targeting the Prime Minister, it's what political parties do. So I get the sense that the JLP is frustrated. Obviously, they're saying that the PNP isn't playing fair.
No.
How is what the PNP doing not fair?
It is not that I'm saying that politicians shouldn't ask questions and criticize their opponents.
But speak to the fairness of what the PNP
when
is doing.
you weaponize misinformation and dishonesty, you are not helping the public.
Yes. But your supporters will say that you have been inert, in that you have not been attacking what you sometimes say is misinformation. You leave it to fester.
So listen.
Yes.
One of the challenges we have in Jamaica and George is that there's no middle anymore. There was a point in time when there was a group of people, journalists, civil society, who would say this is wrong. What modernization and social media has caused is that there's a gap that exists in our society where there is no referee anymore. We are a party that believed in certain principles that we would not go there. The PNP went there. So now we are put in a position now we have to respond. But here's the problem. People are going to say, boy, yeah, we're understanding about the JLP shouldn't go down there. And I'm saying to you, we're not going to allow misinformation and lies to bring back the PNP into office, to destroy everything that we have done over the last 8 years. Lowest unemployment in the history of Jamaica, greatest consecutive quarters of growth in Jamaica, the largest infrastructural project. Remember, Cornwall Hospital was there for decades, falling apart, and it's we who have had to come to fix it.
So lastly, this Integrity Commission issue, is it not true that it has caused a political problem for Andrew Michael Holness and the government he leads?
It has caused a political opportunity.
Not a political problem.
We as a government have been bestowed the unenviable responsibility to fix things. When we came into office, the previous administration leveled $56 billion in taxes on the people of Jamaica. We came into office on the back of wage freezes. We have not imposed any net taxes in the last 7 years. We have not frozen any wage. We have given the largest wage increase. So if the Integrity Commission needs to be repaired, we are the repairers of the breach.
But you're saying that there is no political problem.
I think that once people begin to understand the fullness of what has taken place, the confidence that they have in Andrew Holness will be enhanced. The problem a lot of people are having, George, is that we seem to have not been as aggressive as we should have been. People say, well, we don't know how to fight. We're fighting now.